The Python string class has a lot of utility methods for modifying our strings in predictable and useful ways. So here are a few of them. We've created a string called myString and given it this value. This is my test string. Notice that it's not capitalized, but it does have some capital letters in it, and it's got a bunch of space bars at the end. When we print it initially on line 2, we see it's just the way we created it. Line 3 calls the capitalize method, which returns the same string with the first letter capitalized. And so we see that now the T is capitalized. Notice though that this doesn't actually change the value of my string. It just returns what my string would be if it was capitalized. If we want to capture that, we would have to set the result of this method call equal to another variable. On line 4, we call myString.lower, which returns an all lowercase version of my string. Line 5, myString.upper, gives an all uppercase version of it. MyString.title capitalizes any character found immediately after a space. And we can't really see this, but the strip method actually strips out any white space before or after the string. So whereas the spaces at the end are technically here in all these strings, they are not present after calling strip. We could also supply an argument to strip out a different character, but if we don't, it assumes to strip out spaces. String also has a very handy replace function. This is basically like find and replace on any word processor. It finds all instances of the first argument and replaces them with the second argument. So this finds all instances of my and replaces them with your. So it replaces my with your. Note that as always with strings, this is case sensitive. Now on line 10, we call the split method that we've seen in the past, which we know returns a list of the individual words inside that string. So we'd have a list of this is my test and string. Now line 11 is a little bit tricky. Notice that the string calling the method is just defined inline in quotation marks. And the list is actually an argument to the join method. We can see the impact of that over here. Whatever character is calling the join method is put in between each individual item of that list. The effect here is the same thing as replacing space with dash, although then we would actually have some dashes at the end. But the way it's done is that it takes each item from that list of strings and concatenates them using the string calling the join method as the string to go between each pair of strings being concatenated. That one's tough though, so we'll make sure to practice it before we rely on it. And then finally, as I noted before, if we print myString at the end, we see that its value never actually changed. None of these method calls changes the value of myString in its current place in memory. They just return what would be the value if that operation was applied. To actually save it, we would have to do something like myString2 equals myString.capitalize. That would save the result of capitalizing myString to the variable myString2. Now I noted that split and join are a little bit complicated, so let's look at them a little bit more. Here we're defining a string called myString2split with this value, myString2split separated by dashes instead of by spaces. When we print it, we see its result is exactly what we expect it to be. On line 6, we call the split method using the dash as the character to use to split it up. When we print it, we see a list of 4 strings, my, string, 2, and split. Those were each string that was separated by a dash in our original myString2split. Then on line 11, we basically do the same thing in reverse. We call dash.join mySplitString. MySplitString was our list of strings, and so what this is going to do is one by one take the items from my list, put them into a new string, and put a dash after them, so that the result is each individual item added to the new string, separated by whatever character called the join method. Now the reason I show you this is just to show that split and join are basically reverses of each other. We start off with a string separated by dashes, we split it up into 4 individual strings, and then we join them back together with the dash again. In my experience, split is a little bit easier to understand than join, so I'm trying to use split to explain join in a way that makes more sense.